built like a brick outhouse.
And taking off now from the hard runway is just such an aircraft. One of the biggest, heaviest single-engine fighters of the Second World War. A magnificent machine just returned to the United Kingdom. And one of the P47-D Thunderbolt. What a tremendous of an aeroplane, but an absolutely joyful aeroplane to handle, the P47. A quite remarkable fighter on account of its weight, its size, and not least its capability. Of course, any great aeroplane takes time to get right. That was certainly the case with the P47. They came into service with the 8th Air Force in the UK in early 1943, and at that stage, the P47 wasn't what it later became. It wasn't especially long-ranged at that point, nor was it a particularly good low-level mount. It proved to be an outstanding escort fighter. It could accompany the B-17s and B-24s deep into Germany. Of course, they also served with distinction in the Mediterranean and the Pacific theatres, and with the P47-D model, as we see here, the design's true potential was realised. The Thunderbolt, or the Juggernaut as it was known, could really start to achieve its true potential, and it became a very effective air-to-ground fighter bomber as well as an air-to-air fighter, so it carried on having a major role in the European theatre even after the longer-legged Packard Merlin engine North American P-51 Mustangs began to take over. as escort fighters. No fewer than 3,752 air-to-air kills were scored by P47s like this. The RAF, April 1943 to December 1944, and it notched up many achievements with its Thunderbolts. It took part in the first long-range escort raid, or long-range raid escort of 8th Air Force B-17s on the raid to 3 Focke-Wulf aircraft factories in July 1943. It was also a Thunderbolt based at Duxford that achieved the first shoot-down of one of the Luftwaffe's new and much-feared Messerschmitt Me-262 jet fighters. Indiana. Its wartime service was limited. Later it went to the Peruvian Air Force through various private hands in the United States before ending up with the fighter collection, as I was mentioning earlier. And in this return to the UK for operation by air leasing and in the ownership of fighter aviation engineering, it's taken on Ipsley in Hampshire initially by the 492nd Fighter Squadron of the US Army Air Forces. That was part of the 9th Air Force within the 48th Fighter Group. Today, the 492nd Fighter Squadron is still in existence. It's part of the 48th Fighter Wing, and it flies the multi-role F-15E Strike Eagle from not far from here at RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk. And fittingly, a couple of weekends ago, this P47 visited Lakenheath. And it's just fabulous to see it back in Britain again since its return to the UK. And he said it's a very heavy aeroplane. It weighs about 10,500 pounds. With that weight comes a lot of inertia, and it's the kind of aeroplane you can really wind up in a high-speed dive, fly through at high speed, and then it'll maintain the energy. I've read that the view during the war was that you didn't get involved in a close-in turning dogfight in a P-47, but it was a very steady, stable aeroplane and a good gun platform. Yes, that's certainly all true. And a wonderful aircraft to see back on the display circuit. I mentioned air leasing in the context of this aeroplane because that Sywell-based company has been doing an absolutely incredible amount, including the Fury we'll be seeing in the display later. Massive amounts of activity at air leasing at Sywell, and in honour of that company's achievements, only this morning at the pilots briefing, the president of the Historic Aircraft Association, Rick Peacock-Edwards, who's also the chairman of the Flying Control Committee here at IWM Duxford and a very distinguished former Royal Air Force fighter pilot, presented Richard Grace of Air Leasing with the Historic Aircraft Association's Conrod Trophy, and very well deserved it was too. Stu Goldspink completing his sequence, and what a sequence it was, in Fighter Aviation Engineering's marvellous P47-D Thunderbolt. And we will pass on to Stu your applause. We'll be hearing from him later in commentary, actually, when we see the T6 Texans and Harvards in action. But now, a change of pace, not for the first or last time in today's display, and to talk you through what follows in the next 18 minutes.